So what about right-to-work legislation? There was a lot of speculation about that after Michigan passed the bill and the governor signed it into law. Do you expect that will come up in the session? Do you support it?
Well, I can tell you, I have long supported right to work. I have sent out a letter on their behalf. I had the bill drafted but never introduced it. So I feel like I have quite a bit of credibility when I say what I'm going to say, which is that right to work is not going to get to the floor of the assembly. I believe in it, but I don't think it's the right time for Wisconsin.
Why not?
I think Governor Walker's right. We have gone through a tumultuous few years trying to make sure our own state budget was in balance. And I think that when we look at where we are, one of the best parts of my job is that I get to learn things that I thought I knew, but I really wasn't right about. And if you're open enough to change your mind and to think about things differently, you can do a pretty good job as a legislator. I went and took a tour of a training center put on by the steam fitters, and they explained how their wages were put together. Now, my workforce at my factory is non-union. I negotiated with the county with public employees, and I knew how their structure was set up. But I didn't realize until I went through and sat down with union workers and understood how their wages were put together, that when they say they make $58 an hour, that includes the cost of their pensions. That includes the cost of their time off. It includes worker retraining. All those things are factored into the wage. Well, when you negotiate with the public sector, all that you're focused on, because they take for granted that we have the health insurance, we have the retirement, we had all those things by somebody in the past, all you do is negotiate on the wage. So when you said a 2% raise, it was on their wages. But in the private sector, when you say a 2% wage, that has to cover the cost of their health insurance, it has to cover the cost of their retraining, unemployment, all the rest. So I just think that fundamentally, the public and the private sector workers are not the same, even though they're in a union. We dealt with what had to be dealt with to balance our budget, which was public sector pension and employee benefit costs. I think we need to let that rest for a while, because the public has gone through way too many recalls, way too many people arguing and yelling, and neighbors and friends not talking to each other.
Families.
That we certainly don't need to have that again.
Well, the fact is we're in a better situation than we were before. We solved the budget deficit without raising taxes. We now have a surplus, and we've placed money in the rainy day fund for two consecutive years in a row. First time in Wisconsin history. We're not dealing with that crisis. That's why we did Act 10. It's not that we wanted to. It's not we were clamoring to. We needed to do that to solve those problems. Now we need to not only balance the budget, but move forward on jobs. And that really is our focus.
Well, you don't